Welcome back to the deep dive, where we take your stack of information and turn complexity into, well, strategic insight. Today, we're jumping straight into the high-stakes world of global real estate. We're looking at the flexible workspace industry, specifically at IWG.
Right, that's the big one. The
Yeah.
parent company of brands you probably know, like Regus and Spaces.
Exactly.
And we have, it's a perfect snapshot of how global companies are pretty much forced to operate in 2024. IWG is giving us a masterclass in what you could call strategic duality.
Duality, how so?
Well, they're showing us how a giant in commercial real estate has to manage a huge geopolitical withdrawal in one market, while at the same time aggressively, even opportunistically, jumping on major market shifts in another.
Absolutely. I mean, the contrast couldn't be starker.
Not at all.
And that tension is really what makes this deep dive so compelling for you. Our mission today is to dissect this strategic adaptability. How does a company navigate, on one hand, a principled, costly exit from Russia, while on the other, launching this aggressive expansion into a competitor's old space in Asia, specifically Hong Kong?
That dual action just perfectly frames the challenges of the current global economy. So you have IWG exiting Russia, citing the invasion of Ukraine, and then in the same breath, they're moving to these huge prime Hong Kong real estate assets that were just held by their rival, WeWork.
They've turned a massive market downturn into a capital opportunity.
That's the story.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the big question. Why such a contrasting approach? I mean, withdrawal usually means financial pain, right? Breaking leases, winding down operations. And expansion requires a huge capital commitment, a lot of confidence. So are these moves actually unrelated, or is one somehow supporting the other?
They reflect two completely different sets of pressure, but they are absolutely part of one unified corporate strategy. Focusing on global corporate mobility. The Russian exit, that's driven by geopolitics and, like the CEO said, an ethical stance.
The right thing to do.
Exactly. But it's also a highly practical business decision, given the sanctions and the fact that their core international clients were already leaving.
And the Hong Kong move?
Oh, that's purely commercial gain. It's a high-confidence bet that was only possible because of a temporary dip in the Asia-Pacific real estate market.
So it shows how fast global events, whether it's a war or a pandemic, translate into these huge, multi-million-dollar decisions.
Right. Decisions about where the next generation of flexible workspace infrastructure is going to be. The need for those flexible solutions, especially for corporate teams that need these extended stay arrangements in big hubs, that need is just paramount. IWG has to follow that demand.
Okay, let's start with the hard part then. The Russian withdrawal. IWG is ceasing operations there, and they explicitly cite the invasion of Ukraine as the reason. It's a clear stand. But what does an exit like this practically mean for a company whose whole business is built on long-term leases?
Well, the stated position from Mark Dixon, IWG's chief executive, framing it as the right thing to do, that definitely addresses the ethical pressures.
Of course.
But the practical side of it is really complex. This is not an overnight shutdown. You can't just, walk away from dozens of leased office locations.
So it's not just flipping a switch.
Exactly. The sources are really clear on this. It's a gradual pullout. The timeline is dictated by existing lease agreements.
So the closures happen bit by bit as contracts expire.
Right, and that could take years. This strategy minimizes the immediate financial damage, like massive penalties for breaking contracts in what is, let's be honest, a hostile legal environment.
That's a fascinating layer of corporate risk management. They minimize the financial loss while maximizing the PR and ethical benefit of announcing they're leaving.
I think that's a very fair reading. And there's another crucial factor here. Who are their customers? The Russian operations mostly serve these big international companies, corporate teams needing serviced offices for long assignments. And the key thing is, many of those international companies have already scaled back or just completely stopped their own activities in the region.
So isn't it true then that IWG is, in a way, just following its core customers out the door? The market opportunity had kind of already collapsed.
You're honing in on the complexity right there. While that ethical statement is vital for their brand, the business case for staying had it had evaporated. The clients that pay top dollar for high-quality, globally integrated workspace, they had left. IWG needs to put its capital where that professional client base is going.
And speaking of where those clients are going, what about the humanitarian support angle? Helping companies relocate from Ukraine, how does that tie into the long-term strategy?
It's a very, very intelligent strategic alignment. The sources highlight that IWG is actively supporting companies displaced from Ukraine. They're helping them set up new bases in other European hubs. We're talking Poland, Romania, Portugal.
And you're saying this is more than just altruism.
Oh, definitely. Explain that connection for us. By providing immediate, flexible workspace to these displaced corporate teams, IWG is cementing relationships with companies that are now setting up permanent, growing operations in new, highly strategic European markets.
So they're turning a crisis into a chance to secure loyal, long-term customers.
Exactly. It's a way of saying, we support your stability now, and we want to be your infrastructure partner for the future.
That really reframes the whole withdrawal strategy. It's not just about cutting losses in Russia. It's about strategically investing in future customer loyalty in these emerging markets.
Precisely. They're using their brand power and their global network to pivot their focus to where the new centers of business are in Europe. But now let's pivot ourselves and move from the principled headaches of Eastern Europe to pure commercial gain in Asia.
Right. And here's where it gets really opportunistic. The Hong Kong expansion is a direct, aggressive move. It's taking advantage of their rivals' weakness. They're jumping right into space that WeWork just vacated.
This is a classic example of market consolidation during a downturn. I mean, WeWork was known for its high capital model, right?
Yeah.
Leasing prime real estate at peak rates. They often struggled with profitability, especially after these big global market shifts.
Whereas IWG often uses an asset-light model or franchise partnerships, making them more resilient.
That's the core difference. So when WeWork pulled out of this specific location, IWG just swooped in.
And we're not talking about a small space here.
No. We're talking about a massive 32,000 square feet. It's across 2 floors at Hysan Place in Causeway Bay. This isn't just any building. This is prime, very expensive commercial real estate.
And what brand are they putting in there? Is this a standard Regus?
No, and this is strategic. They're putting in their high-end offering, Signature by Regus. This is their premium tier. It's designed to attract large multinational corporations, finance teams, the executive-level teams that need high-spec, long-term, flexible workspace in a financial hub.
So the brand itself signals they're going after the highest-paying segment of that corporate extended stay market.
That's the move.
So what were the specific conditions that allowed IWG to get such a prime piece of real estate at a rate that made this all worthwhile?
It was a perfect storm, really, of local market distress. Hong Kong's commercial real estate market, especially in places like Causeway Bay, saw these significant rental declines.
Why, though? What caused that?
2 huge pressures hit them, almost back to back. First, the long economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, which kept international business travelers away. And then before that, you had the period of anti-government protests, which created a lot of political instability.
So that combined pressure created a temporary buyer's market for a company with cash and confidence.
Exactly right. Agents who know the deal suggest IWG got the space at a dramatically lower rate. We could be talking a huge discount compared to what WeWork was paying when they signed their lease years ago.
So this acquisition isn't just about getting more space.
No, it's about acquiring pre-built premium capacity at a bargain price. It significantly reduces their own capital expenditure risk while they lock down this crucial footprint in Asia-Pacific.
It really sounds like a guaranteed success, but do we have any immediate proof that the demand is actually there despite the headwinds Hong Kong has faced?
We do, and the proof is really in the speed of execution. The new Signature by Regus Center is slated to open remarkably quickly in August, and they've already secured their first deal, a commitment for 25 seats.
25 seats before the doors are even fully open.
Right, and that immediate uptake, it demonstrates strong market confidence among corporate clients, the ones who need established, high-quality, flexible solutions for their teams.
It suggests that while the rents dipped, that underlying need for corporate infrastructure in Asia's financial hubs, it never really went away.
It connects directly to the nature of global business today. Companies need certainty, and they need to be able to scale up immediately for their mobile teams.
Whether they're setting up a new Asia-Pacific headquarters or just rotating project managers through a hub like Hong Kong.
Yes, and IWG is capturing that critical need for comfortable professional environments where people can live and work abroad for longer periods.
So let's tie this all together now. We've got the geopolitical headache being managed in Russia. We have the opportunistic win in Hong Kong. How is IWG actually performing globally despite all this turbulence?
The overall health metrics that Mark Dixon reported are exceptionally positive. These strategic moves haven't hurt their global recovery at all. In fact, the data suggests they're thriving. Occupancy numbers globally are, well, they're soaring. They've reached 75%.
75% occupancy. And to put that in perspective for you, the sources say this is the highest occupancy rate IWG has had since the very beginning of the pandemic, before all the lockdowns hit. That's a massive sign of recovery.
It is. It reflects a fundamental shift in how corporations behave. Flexible work is no longer a perk. It's a necessary part of their operational infrastructure. But the recovery signal isn't just about volume. It's about pricing power.
Ah, that's the true indicator of market strength.
It always is.
So let's get into that detail. What did the sources say about their pricing strategy right now?
They report that pricing has not only increased, but, and this is crucial, that no customers are currently receiving discounts.
No discounts.
None. And you should think about what that means. In the commercial real estate world, the face rate is often meaningless because brokers negotiate these deep discounts or long rent-free periods. So when a company can fill 75% of its space and demand the full undiscounted rate, it just signals extraordinary confidence and really inelastic demand.
That's the real sign that flexible workspace has shifted. It's not just a low-cost alternative anymore, it's essential infrastructure. Customers aren't just shopping on price, they're paying for the flexibility, the quality, and that global network IWG provides.
Exactly. And for you, the informed observer, these figures prove that the demand for high-quality, flexible, extended-stay workspace is robust. It's growing globally. This is why those strategic, cost-effective market entries, like the one in Hong Kong where they got assets so cheaply, are so crucial. They're locking in the capacity they need to meet this strong, high-margin demand for years to come.
It's a really remarkable case study in duality, isn't it? You have the principled, risk-managed exit from Russia, driven by conscience and changing client needs. And that's coupled with this aggressive, commercially ruthless expansion in a major Asian hub by capitalizing on a competitor's weakness and favorable rates.
They are successfully aligning ethics with profitability.
It's quite a balancing act.
Absolutely. The way they've used market volatility to their advantage in Hong Kong, while mitigating geopolitical risks somewhere else, it sets a really high bar for other international corporations. But this whole sequence of moves, the exit and the acquisition, it raises a massive question about the future of the flexible workspace industry itself.
Okay, so what is the most important question for our listeners to be thinking about here?
As these major, established global players like IWG, with their resilient asset-light model, consolidate power by acquiring prime space from struggling competitors like WeWork during market downturns. What does this aggressive maneuvering mean for the market structure?
Is the whole game changing?
Is the flexible workspace market shifting forever from that highly competitive land grab model of 10 years ago to one that will be increasingly stable, profitable, and just dominated by a few existing established global players? Because that consolidation of power will dictate not just pricing, but the very infrastructure of global business travel and extended corporate stays for decades.
An excellent, and I have to say, slightly provocative thought to end on. We'll see you next time for The Deep Dive.